Karen, Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Madam Vice President. I just can't emphasize enough how important your support and involvement has been, and how in the midst of such incredible devastation and tragedy, that it has been comforting to know that you have been accessible. Again, the governor certainly mentioned the fact that you moved so quickly in response to the emergency declaration, the idea of 100% reimbursement, and we have made it clear to folks that that is not the norm, but that is what leadership does in response to such a devastating event. And the governor mentioned, and let me just repeat, hurricane strength wind without the rain. And that has led to such amazing devastation in terms of the Palisades fire and some of the other fires. I think it is important to acknowledge the successes that have been going on, where there have been evacuation orders that have been canceled and people are going back to certain neighborhoods. Fires have been extinguished in several neighborhoods, Pacoima, Hollywood, Studio City, where people were told they had to evacuate, and those evacuation orders have been rescinded. And as our first responders are out there putting their lives on the line, as the Vice President mentioned, they've been experiencing the losses as well as the city and the county workforces. We have a number of our employees who have had to evacuate while responding. Their families have had to evacuate, or they've had the personal loss of their homes, their places to worship, their schools, or their businesses. But Los Angeles, the region, we are going to recover. We're going to recover, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to rebuild better. One of the biggest challenges that is facing us, and I also know that it is a national situation, is insurance. And so today I'm here at the County Hall of Administration. We do 2 press conferences a day, one in the county, one in the city, and we had our state insurance commissioner here. We do have a state plan, but that state plan certainly needs to be increased. He talked about introducing emergency legislation to respond to some of the ways we need to strengthen our system. So many of the homes in the area, especially in the Palisades area, had their insurance canceled a year or so ago. And he talked about how he wanted to have a moratorium. He was going to use the power of his office to have a moratorium that said that no policies can be canceled even if your home was not damaged. If you're in the area and everybody around you burnt down, but your home was not damaged, that your policy cannot be canceled. So we have mobilized the philanthropic community. The philanthropic community is already setting up funds to assist, but we are also convening, and the city is taking the lead here in the rebuilding effort. And we're going to expedite rebuilding. It brings back a lot of memories for me in 1992 when we experienced a massive civil unrest. And we were able to get the majority of Los Angeles rebuilt quickly by coming together and suspending, waiving rules, getting past bureaucracy. If your home was devastated in a fire, there's no reason for you to have to go all the way back through the permitting process. So while we are saving lives, preventing further destruction, saving homes, saving businesses, dealing with the emergency at hand, we also have our eyes on the future and are preparing to put forward policies, executive directives next week that would address how we bring our city back together and how we expedite the rebuilding. And so, again, let me just end by saying that your leadership period over the last several years has just been outstanding. Mr. President, Madam Vice President, who's in Angelino, we know that when I spoke with you yesterday, you mentioned that you had to evacuate. You weren't going to mention yourself, but I asked you. And you mentioned that you had to evacuate from your home here while you were in Washington, D.C. And I just want to commend your outstanding leadership and let you know how the residents of Los Angeles are so deeply grateful.
Karen, one of the things I've found in my experience of dealing with disasters similar, not as devastating, this is people take a look and the immediate help and they're satisfied and they're happy, but they look down the road and say, my God, look at downtown, it's gone. Look at how are we going to do this? We're going to need the United States Congress to follow up with appropriations to help provide for significant help for our fellow Americans who need this help, to pay for these programs that we have, because a lot more is going to be happening. And now yield to a woman who's an expert in all this. She and I have traveled more states, flying over fires for the last 4 years, and we literally observed from the air or on the ground more areas burned to the ground from Arizona all the way up to Idaho than the entire state of Maryland, if you took it all, to the ground. And so we're used to this, but nothing like the concentration that's here. This is profound. And so we got the best person we could